Hello and welcome back to my Churchill freighter. I'm here with Thor, and today we're going to start working on the logic for this toy box. The first thing I want to address is the sky, because we've just finished building this big ship, and now we need a sky dome that features a large body of water for our ship to float in. And that leaves us with 8 or 9 possibilities as far as I can determine. So I want to show you what those options are first. So I've already dropped a sky changer ahead of time. And before we do that, there is one sky dome that features a large body of water that is not part of that. And it's actually a power disc. And let me put that down. It's Rapunzel's sky, which doesn't really fit. But it does feature a large body of water. And I need to turn this music off. Alright. So that one is not going to work. But I include it just for completeness. Alright. Some of our other options, though, if we look under the properties of the sky changer, let's start with 2.0. We have the Lantean sky, which features a large body of water, but the sky dome just isn't really going to work. And as you can see, it kind of looks like you're underground and just doesn't really fit the setting here. Another possibility under 2.0 is the San Francisco skies. And this one could definitely work. It fits the theme pretty well. And so that is a distinct possibility. Also available under 2.0. We have Wings Across the World, which has a large body of water, but this just doesn't really fit the setting from the movie either. So we're not going to use that one. But I want you to see what all these options are. There are more than just a couple of options. Lilos Tropical Sky. Now this one could work, but it's a little cartoony for my taste. But it does kind of fit the setting. It looks like you're docked in a lagoon area. So that is a possibility, but I personally don't think that will work very well. There is Skies over Asgard, which of course is going to look like Asgard. But you're sitting in water. It's just not in the right place. So that's not going to work. And that's it for 2.0 and 3.0. Now if you look under 1.0, we have the Disney Castle Twilight. And that's a possibility. To me, though, it looks like you're sitting up kind of high above the water. So I don't really like the way that looks. It's just too high up in my opinion. So that won't work for this. And under 1.0, another possibility is the Metroville Sky from the Incredibles playset. And this is actually the sky that I would recommend. It's a little bit bright outdoors, but it fits the movie pretty well. I think it's the best sky dome to use for this setting. And the other thing that I really like about this particular sky dome is that when you go down into the ship, we go down inside, even indoors, it's nice and bright in here. And you can see everything that's here. So this is the sky dome that I would recommend. It's not the one that I used in my playthrough video, because that was aired on Halloween, and I didn't feel that this would work well for Halloween, but this is the one that I'm going to use ultimately. And I just like the way this looks a lot. It also fits nicely with the next toy box in this series, which is the boss battle with the Hulk. So this is the sky dome I would recommend using. If you like the one that I used, though, for my playthrough video originally, that would be under Disney Infinity 1.0, and it's the Open Sea Sky from the Pirates of the Caribbean playset. That's the one that I used, and this works really well for a nighttime setting. You're out in the ocean, so that makes perfect sense for the freighter, and this looks really good outdoors. The problem with this is that when you go downstairs, you go inside, it's a little dark in here, and it's a little too blue for my liking. It just does not look like the interior of the freighter at all. I'd like it to be a little bit brighter, and I don't want it to be quite so bluish. I mean, Thor looks like he's cold. But you come back out in the moonlight and it doesn't look quite so bad. So if you want to use this sky, you're going to need to do a little bit of logic for the sky or any of the nighttime skies, because you're going to have to do a sky change when you go downstairs. And so I think the best way to fix that again is with the sky change. And I want to show you how to do that in case you prefer a darker sky for this toy box. This is also a helpful technique to use when you're building other nighttime toy boxes as well. So to help us with that, we have the boom box, the sky changer, and a time delayer. And we're going to need 2 trigger areas. So let me pull out some of these pieces here, just so that you can kind of get an idea and see a little bit more clearly what it is that I'm going to do. So we're going to give you kind of a cutaway view of that ladder going down inside the ship. And you don't really need to move these out in order to put these trigger areas in place, but I'm doing this just so you can see very clearly where these things go. And as I said, that will give you a nice little cutaway here. And we'll go one more. Because if I don't do this, these foreground pieces here are going to get in the way. It's going to be kind of difficult to see exactly where I'm placing these trigger areas. Alright, so there's the cutaway for our ladder. You got the door coming in there, you got the ladder going up. Okay, so for this, we're going to need to go up to the Creativitoys drawer, and I thought I had the I thought I had the trigger area selected, so sorry about that. Got to scroll over and pick that up. Alright, the very first trigger area is going to go right up here at the top, straddling that ledge like that. And because the player might jump down or fly up this shaft, we need to stretch that over to fill. So that's where the first trigger area goes. The second trigger area is going to straddle the next set of terrain blocks like that. And again, stretch it all the way over. Okay, so there are the two trigger areas that we need. This one is going to set the sky when we come out. This one's going to set the sky when we go in. All right. So on the upper trigger area, there's two things we need to do. First thing we want to do when we're going out, well, let's do the lower one first because that's easier. So going into the freighter, on here we're going to do a new logic connection on the trigger area when entered by player. And we can't really do this by player any because if you have two players in here, it's going to be a little tricky. The sky change can happen at the wrong time. So we're going to do this off of player 1. And the assumption would be that player 1 and player 2 are kind of working through this together. So we'll come over to the sky changer. We're going to go to Disney Infinity 1.0, and we are going down to the Disney Castle Sky. This is the default sky we had when we first created the toy box. That makes it light enough to see down inside. One little downside of that is that if you have your volume turned up when you're in that sky, you can hear birds chirping and some other things. So, I don't know if you want that in this setting or not, but that works. Alternatively, you could do it to the Metroville Sky, but I did this originally to that one. But when you're down in here and shooting and everything, you're probably not going to hear those birds. And that's all this lower trigger area needs to do because that particular sky has no music. All right? So then you're down inside, the sky is lighter, and away you go. When you come out, you'll pass through this trigger area again, but that sky is already set, so nothing will happen. And then you'll come to this one. And so on this trigger area, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player 1. Again, we'll come over to the sky changer. And by the way, all three of these should be down inside of this hull. You should place them in here. I left them up here just to make it easier to see, so I could show you how to hook these up. But when you come back out, you're going to want to set it to the open sea sky. Doing that will start the music for the open sea sky. And you got to give it a moment for the sky to actually shift. And so that's why we have the time delayer. So also on this upper trigger area, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player 1. We'll come over to the trigger area, or the time delayer rather. We'll start the delay. And the default delay of 1 second is fine. And on the time delayer, a new logic connection when the delay is completed. We'll come over to the boom box and go down to silence. And that should take care of that. So when you go down into the freighter, you'll pass through the first trigger area, which the sky is already set to the open sea sky. When we put these blocks back and we save our toy box, that's what we've got, is the open sea sky, and the boom box is already set to silence, because that's how I set this. So when you pass through here on your way in, nothing will really happen because all of those things are already set that way. And then you pass through this trigger area, that will trigger the sky change to the brighter sky. And again, when you come back out, that will do nothing. And then this one will put the pirate sky in there and make sure the music is turned off. So that's what you have. Now, again, I'm recommending that you use the Metroville Sky. I only did this because it was Halloween and the nighttime sky worked better for that. So if you like this, you can keep this, but I would recommend actually not doing this. And you won't need this. And I would just use the Metroville Sky directly. and then save your toy box this way. And I've got the music turned off with the boom box. You can use the boom box to set this to something other than the Incredibles music. And there's a number of good options underneath the underneath some of the action and different kinds of categories in there. But again, I like the Metroville Sky because it works nicely with the next toy box in this series, which is the boss battle with Hulk, and I think it most closely matches the original movie. But that takes care of the sky. Next time, we'll work on the logic for the toy box mission, namely finding and collecting all of the vibranium crystals. Thank you for watching my video today. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know which sky you would choose for this toy box. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can do that by clicking my photo in the lower right corner. Have a great day.